It is vlog 187. That's 187 vlogs, man. That's a lot. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty cool. Today is a bit of a bittersweet vlog because it is about 6:47 in the morning. Been driving for the past half hour, heading out of Malibu over to Glendale, to Forest Lawn, where I'm going to be attending George Barris's funeral and a bunch of things that are going on today. But bittersweet because we lost George, but sweet because George had a tremendous life. We were all blessed to have him with us and all the amazing things that he created. I've known George, or knew George for years, ever since I was a kid. Influenced me in a great deal. So we are experiencing a loss, but at the same time, we're going to celebrate today. There's going to be so many hot rods coming to this funeral. And then later on, I'll be heading over to Galpin Auto Sports, where there's going to be an after celebration of George's life. So we'll get to see a lot of cool stuff there, a lot of great people, and we'll just try to have a good time today. I just entered Forest Lawn over in Glendale, and I'm headed up to the staging area where all the cars are going to show up. Going to be an epic amount of cars. This is my buddy Chuck with the incredible last name, Shawwecker.
Very good.
Shawwecker.
Very good.
So we're here for George's celebration.
Yes.
George was awesome.
Yes, he was.
You know, he influenced a lot of people. How did he influence you?
Well, you know, George has always been my kind of guy because he's customizer and car guy, and you know, I mean, who can say any more? And he's very approachable, you know, and it just saddens me so bad to see him gone.
Memory of George, man, there's so many of them. He was such a likable guy and such a kick to be around. He would always make me laugh. He would tell me the same joke 10 or 15 times, and the more I heard it, the funnier it was.
Right. about 9 o'clock in the morning now. We're about an hour away from the funeral starting, but George has arrived with the casket and a lot of the cars are here. Really good turnout. Looks really good. We're hanging out with Larry Wood, who is a legend in his own right. Your fondest memory with George?
Oh man, I got so many stories with George. The one I remember most was being on the East Coast back in the 50s, reading all the magazines about George and doing what he told me to do. So I got some great stories about George. We had a good time together.
Absolutely.
Oh my, you're talking 50 years.
I know, it's rough.
Yeah, I think fondest memory in 2004, I was given the honor to present him with the Robert E. Peterson Lifetime Achievement Award. Here's my hero for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I got to honor him in front of 1,500 people.
Incredible.
And I don't know who was more proud, me or George.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we lived in the valley, but we lived up in Northridge, but I knew where George's shop was. My mother had a friend who had a store down the street. Saturday mornings, once in a while, she'd go down to see her friend, and she would drop me off on the sidewalk, and I'd stand out there. They weren't open. I just sort of stare in the window at all the cars and the trophies, and then walk down to Bob's Big Boy. We'd have lunch. Would you let a 10-year-old do that today? But hey, that was my, and then I finally got to meet him later, and of course I told him the story. Absolutely, a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Great guy.
The first two roles are for family only. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Swing in and see my niece Alexa and have some lunch before I head over to the gas after party, which is at Galpin Autosports. Should be some spectacular stuff there, but until then, I'm gonna hang out with another redhead. Gave Alexa $1 million.
Awesome. Alexa, can I share?
Candy bar?
Don't give it to anybody else. It's your $1 million. Do not share.
Check out
unless you're gonna give some to me. I just arrived at Galpin at gas, and there's already cool cars showing up. Coach. Awesome. I'll link up here in the show notes the interview I did with George sitting in the back of that thing. That was pretty awesome. you, Foose. So, your fondest memory of George?
Well, my fondest memory of George was when Lynn and I, my wife, we were up in Canada at a car show. And when we left the car show, we got in a limo with George to drive back to Vancouver because we were going to fly out the next day. So we were staying in a hotel up there. And when we got into the limo, of course, people are stopping both of us to get, before we get in the limo, asking us for autographs, trying to get out of the car show. And George started calling my wife and I honeymooners. Come on, honeymooners, get in the car, we gotta go, we gotta go.
So that was your nickname?
Yes.
Right.
Honeymooners, it was my wife and I both.
Yeah.
And we drove, it was about an hour and a half drive, and we just had the greatest time in the limo, talking with George. And then when we got to the hotel, we went and got something to eat. And then George called us that night about 10 different times. How's the honeymooners doing? We just had a great time. Went to the airport the next day and flew home.
Good deal.
And every time you saw us, we were the honeymooners.
Yeah, you guys were stuck with it.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Well, the most amazing one was just a few months ago at the Burbank car show, and I told Barris about the Cicita that I recently bought. He actually wanted to come and see it. So unfortunately that did not work out, but he gave me some tips about how to restore it and some good wisdom.
All right. This is Bob Gurr, world famous designer. You did the monorail on Disneyland.
Oh, about 250 jobs in 45 years. Best Barris moment.
Best Barris moment.
He took the Futura and made it into the Batmobile. What you don't know is I worked in Lincoln Studio, and when I was 20 years old, Bill Schmidt was my boss. He designed the Futura that George modified into the Batmobile.
Wow.
There you go. So we are connected.
This is Amy Mepsa from Meguiar's. She keeps very straight. Doing phenomenal stuff. Your best Barris moment.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. There are many.
Yes.
It was a number of years ago, and I saw him coming from the car in his yellow jacket, and he saw me, and I went, George! And he went, Amy! We ran to each other in slow motion, and then just landed right on my lips, and George said it.
You know, that's something I can say I've never experienced.
Thank you.